And so let's bring in for a moment Congressman Tim Moore, the Republican of North Carolina, who joins us from the Capitol today. Congressman, good to have you back on the show. You know, the wider question here about Venezuela is what the overall goal is and where we're headed. I will point out that Caroline Leavitt at the White House has told NewsNation today that prolonged war is not something this president is interested in. Some on Capitol Hill, including Republicans like Rand Paul, have said that they feel like that's where we're headed, though, to war with Venezuela. How do you feel?
You know, I don't see that. I trust the president on this, and I applaud the president in taking a tough stand in this narco-terrorist state. I mean, you have a country right here in our backyard that is willfully aiding and abetting and sponsoring acts of terrorism in the form of all these drugs coming to the United States. We know about, of course, the cocaine, but also the fentanyl, drugs that are killing thousands of Americans every week. And I mean, it's like an act of terror. I mean, and the fact, I mean, we have other countries, of course, where drugs come in from. But what's unique, you know, about Venezuela is the fact that the government is actually helping these folks. They're equipping them. They're apparently providing them boats. They're providing them protection to send them in to do this. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I applaud the president in taking a tough stand to stand up for Americans to protect us, because we've got to deal with these illicit drugs in every way, from the demand side, but also from the supply side. And I think taking a tough stand, sending this incredible force there in the Caribbean, shows that he means business. And look, seizing this tanker was the right thing to do. This is in violation of the embargo that's in place. This is black market oil that's going to fund this illegal drug trade that's happening. So, shout out to the president doing this. You
think so? There could be more seizures like that. And I wonder if this goes beyond Venezuela as well, reading into the president's comments about Colombia. If you saw this, but here's what President Trump said about the president of Colombia. Listen.
Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories, so he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next, too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next.
President Petro, what do you take that to mean? He'll be next.
No, I think to me the president's very clear that if Colombia is engaging in this state-sponsored terrorism, which is what it really is, that they're going to be dealt with as a foreign terrorist state. And it's. I mean, you think about how for years where we have allowed a lot of these bad actors outside our country to just push us around, to dump this poison on us, to give us lip service, and then, not try to do anything about actually demanding that this stop. I mean, maybe, the message is going to be there, but if it's not, I mean, the fact that the president is committed with the size of this naval force that's there to back this up with action, I've got to think that these guys are going to wise up. And look, I had an opportunity to visit a number of countries in South America earlier this year with some of my colleagues in Congress, and we see countries who are trying to do it right. But then you see countries, particularly Venezuela, and then, of course, to be determined right when it comes to Colombia, who are just actively taking actions hostile to the United States. But not only that, hostile
who did you say is doing
basic
it right?
Human rights. I'm applauding him taking a stand.
I'm sorry? Who did you say is doing it right? Which countries?
No, I said the president. No, I said, what I'm saying is that the president's doing it right in terms of dealing with these countries.
Oh, I thought you meant some countries in South America doing it right and some are not. Okay, now on a somewhat related note.
I apologize. Well, we do. Right, I was going to say, like Argentina, for example, that's trying to work with us. We're working with them. President Milei, we had the opportunity to speak with those folks where they're trying to deal with that. I know that Peru has been struggling with what to do there with dealing with the cartels there. So I had the opportunity to meet with them as well. So yes, making sure that we know there are countries who want to try to deal with the illegal drug trade and illicit actions that are happening. And you compare that though with Venezuela, that's not only not dealing with crime, they're actually helping it.
Okay. Now, I was going to say on a somewhat related note, I mentioned earlier in the hour reporting you can read at thehill.com about the Navy submitting its report on a potential punishment for Senator Mark Kelly over that video that he and other Democrats had made, the quote-unquote illegal orders video. Do you have any view on this? Do you think Senator Kelly deserves to be punished?
I think that the military justice process needs to work its way through. I certainly was bothered by the tenor of those comments, what it was made, where it appeared to be telling active military service members to disregard orders. Now, they're trying to back up and say, well, they're saying disregard illegal orders. Look, any service member already has an obligation to disregard illegal orders. But remember this, the president has not given any illegal orders. There's not any evidence that's been presented. And in fact, when those folks who made this video were called to say, well, give us some examples where the president's given illegal orders, they couldn't cite any. So it's just a complete fiction, and it's really trying to undermine the power and the authority of the commander-in-chief, and nobody that I know of in Congress has ever done that before. So, you know, I'll let that process work itself out, but I was certainly outraged with it, like probably many other Americans.
Our Congressman Tim Moore is live in Washington on Capitol Hill. Thank you. I want to go back